This is the Power BI desktop environment. All right, Power BI desktop environment. I had mentioned that there are 3 Power BI solutions. For those of you who may not know, Power BI is a product of Microsoft. Now, you have the Power BI desktop, you have the Power BI service, and you have the Power Apps. I implore each and every one of you to please go through the file that was shared to you all. That particular file, there's a video clip there. In that video clip, you will see the similarities between the Power BI app, Power BI service, and Power BI desktop. They are what makes them, what unifies both, and what differentiates them. Now, for the purpose of today's lesson, we're going to talk about getting your data from the particular source. Now, there's a file that was attached. Now, the format is in Excel. Your raw data can come in various formats. I was saying yesterday, you could have a .txt file. You could have a .csv file. .txt stands for .text. That's the format. Now, for the one we're going to work with is .csv, which stands for comma separated value. Comma separated value. So I'm now going to go to where I have it saved. You all can see my screen. Now we're going to click on reports. Under reports, we're going to click on get data. Now you see all that is listed out here. You have Excel, you have Power BI data sets, you have data flows. Now our focus today is Excel. So I'm going to click on Excel. Now this is where the file is. It is not showing. So I have to click on this drop down menu to say view all files. Can you all see it? View all files. Now it pops up because it is in .csv format. Watch it again. I'm clicking. I'll put Excel. It doesn't show. All right. Now Excel, sometimes you would have data sets in Excel format, XLSX format. These are all various formats for Excel files. But this particular raw file we have is in .csv, and we are using Excel to view it. All right. Let me just put this aside. Sorry, once again. So I'm clicking on all files, and then we can now see hotels in Lagos.csv. Hotels in Lagos.csv. So I click and say open. Right. So now it's opened. Let me get my face out of the way. All right. Good. So now it's opened. You can see, I mentioned something about file and origin. Okay. Now you see file and origin. Now, because this particular file is domiciled here, So there is no need to change it, because you can see that it already understands which item falls under serial number 0 to 19. That is what I mean by it already understands. That is, Power BI automatically understands it. So which means the encoding for this is not problematic. If it were problematic, then we now have to consider the origin of this file. Now, the next one, hotel names. We can see from the preview here, number 16, Whispering Palms Resorts in Badagry. All right, location, address, cost. I don't know if it is cost per night, but we'll work with cost. So cost for Whispering Palms is 27,000 naira, and property type, resort. When we get to modeling our data, we would create models for properties based on particular questions. So one assignment I would want each and every one of us to do is, please take note of it. What are the insights? Put yourself in the shoes of someone looking to invest in Lagos, and they have this data set. Now the person gives you this data set and say, I want to invest in Lagos. Give me insights from this data set. So I would want you to take note of what questions or what insights you can draw from this data set. I'll give you a hint. One of which is, which property type is the least represented in Lagos? I repeat, which property type is the least represented in Lagos? First question. Second tip question I'll give you is, which property types have the highest number of likes? I repeat, which property types have the highest number of likes? All right. So two questions, two hint questions. Which property type is the least represented? All right. And which property type has the highest number of likes? So those are the hints questions an investor who is interested in investing in Lagos may want to gather from this data set. So now that you have this data set, look at what other possible questions we can work with, and we'll talk about it on this coming Saturday class. So let's go forward. Now, address column looks okay. Cost looks okay. Now, from the cost, we see that this is going to give us a problem, because if we want to look at the average costs, we'll run into problems, because this particular data is a combination of text string and number string. Text string and number string. The naira sign is a string. The amounts is also a string. So now, some of you were saying yesterday they were lost as to when we left Excel and got into Power BI. Note, we were never in Excel. Excel was the program with which we want to view the CSV file. All right? Excel is a program with which we want to view the CSV file. You remember when we tried picking the file, we clicked in the folder where it was saved, it didn't show up because our file selection was showing Excel file. Immediately we changed it to all files. That file now showed up because that file, the data set, was stored in .csv format. Now, we're going to extract the data. We have extracted the data. Now we're going to transform the data. I beg your pardon. We're going to transform the data. So I click on transform. Let me just bring the window here. Yeah. So now we're in Power Query. This is Power Query. Okay, my face is in the way again. Just one moment. Yeah. All right. Good. Now it's time for us. This was what we did. Now, yesterday, I was telling us certain things. Throughout this period of this program, we're going to be working in these various tabs. This is the Home tab, Transform tab, Add column, View, Tools, and Help. So now we're going to look at each column one after the other. This is a serial number column, and it's okay. Now, somebody mentioned yesterday that they cannot see the column health. For you to view your column health, you come to View. Click on View. If I click on column quality, notice there's a change. All right. So when you launch your Power BI in the first instance, this is what it's going to look like. So you need to know your column distribution, your column quality. All right. So back to Home. Now, the serial number 123 format is okay. Hotel name ABC is okay. Location, yeah, it's okay. All right. Address is okay. Cost is not okay because it is showing ABC. We want to have figures and Naira separated. So now since we're in the transformation phase, we're going to transform this column. Property type, okay. Likes, okay. Now let's see. Look at your column health, all right. Okay, go very close attention to column health. Now, there are some fields under location that is empty, all right. So just so we don't fall into problems, try as much as possible to have 0% error. Now, for those fields that are empty, this is how we can find out. Click here, and where we are is in the filter column. Now click on. Now all is selected. All right. Now I want to see how many is blank. So I'll click on blank and say OK. We have quite a number of columns that are blank. Can you all see this? Quite a number of columns are blank. So these are some of the errors you would have when dealing with data sets. All right. So already we can see that we have a lot of columns that are blank. So we can choose to do one of two things. One, leave it blank as it is. Or two, replace the blank values with an entry. Because you are the data analyst. You are working on a data set. So ask yourself, what would you do? Now, what I will do is I will change it to not available. Here is how we're going to change the blanks to not available. Now we're going to come here and click on replace values. Okay. Now value to find blank. Replace with not available. So I'll write not available. Let's click on advanced and see what options we have in advanced. Match entire cell contents. So I click on it and now I said, notice that I left here blank. Voila. You can see it. All the blank fields are not available. Now, I said something about best practice. Now, replace value. So I right click and rename. Not replace blanks with not available. Now, replace blanks with not available. All right. Replace blanks with not available. This table is empty. Do you notice what happened? So now, because we introduced a new step. So now let's go back. You can see our pipeline. I'm closing this again. Watch what I'm doing. I'm closing this again to take us back to our original stage. Now, I did this so that when you're working on your file and this happened, don't freak out. You go back to your applied steps pipeline and revert back to the stage where you started from. Now, this is the right flow to follow. You come here, filter. You see that there are blanks, all right? Now, select all blanks so that you have an idea of how many blanks. We have an idea of the number of blanks that we have over 100, 200, they're really much. So let's return it back, remove the blank, select all. Okay. Now while we are still in this column, all right, while we are still in this column, now replace values in this column. Replace blank, replace with not available. Match entire cell content. Good. Now, have you noticed? We had an error of 1%. All right. We had an error of 1% initially. We had empty rows. Now you see, number of valid 100. Now if we go back to this filter, have you seen? We no longer have blanks. Now if you scroll, since it's in alphabetical order, you now see we have not available as an entry. Okay? Good. So, best practice, replaced blanks, replaced blanks with not available. All right? Then filtered row, confirm blanks removed. All right? Good. So next column, error 0, empty 0. Who can remind me what we're still doing? We are transforming our data. We've extracted the data. We're now transforming the data. Costs, no error. But we can't work with costs with the Naira sign in front of it. We'll come back to that later. Property types, yes. The formats, alphabet. Likes, yes. Rating, we have NA. You can choose to leave it at NA, not available, or NA. I choose to leave it as NA. Review, NA. So let us now work on cost. What did I say we're going to do? Split the column. Now you come here, split column. Split by delimiter, or split by number of characters, or split by position. I choose to split by number of characters. Now, number of characters, 1. 1 as far as left. The Naira sign is to the left. Let's check the advanced and see what advanced has for us. Split into columns, not rows. Okay. Power BI is doing its magic. Good. And it's done. Now under costs, we are having, okay, it's still working. Notice it's working up here. Now, we have cost 1, cost 2. Notice that Power BI has automatically noticed that this is Naira sign. All right. So we're going to change this to currency. Rename currency. So I'm going to now change the pipeline to currency. Renamed to currency. All right. And this renamed this, we'll rename to cost. Now notice things are going on over here. This is where you have the M language. To some of you who are more advanced or intermediate level, you will know what this means. But to some who are just starting out on Power BI, don't freak out. You don't have to know everything from the start, but you just know the concepts. So what we're teaching you is the concept. So this above is the M language. So what we're doing is what is called low code, no code. Low code, no code. It will get to a point where you write little code. As data analysts, you work in most times in no code, low code environments. Pick and drop. Now, many people who teach data analytics do so by doing a lot of drag and drop analytics. But by the time you practice, you get to build your data analytics skill. Learn the concept, don't focus on the tools. Learn the concept, because when you start working in the real world, you cannot dictate for your company which tool they are going to use. You cannot be rigid, saying, no, I only trained in Power BI, so I cannot work in Looker or Tableau. Because Power BI is widely used, which is why we're training you on Power BI. So now let's check why we have error showing as 5. Rename to currency. I'm checking my pipeline to be sure that I followed the best practice. Okay, I think I have every field covered. Let me just quickly select on this way and see. Yeah. I needed it to refresh. Okay. Whole number. Let's look at this. Let me change the text. Your console. Now, couldn't convert to number. Okay. So it means it's not seeing this column as number. So we're done. Give Power BI some time. Now, close and apply. One of loaded queries contain error. View error. Now to view error, it's taking us back to Power Query. Now these things happen. So you get to realize that when you meet challenges, it's not for you to freak out. Error in hotels in Lagos. Yeah, the file is hotels in Lagos. Okay. Error in costs. Costs returning error. So now here's what we did. Remember that over here under the costs, we had errors showing up. So this was what we did. Right click and remove errors. So immediately that was done, it now introduced a step. So I'm going to right click here and now say rename removed detected rows with error. If you remember, it was showing us error. How do you spell error again? Okay, good. Remember, it was showing us that when we tried loading it into Power BI, it told us error. And the error was there were certain entries that were not in agreement with this format, 1, 2, 3 format. So now that we've done that, we'll now say close and apply. Okay, once again, verify that every other column has a distribution and health. So all the health now varied 100%, 100%, 100% all around. So close and apply. Where did Power BI go? Yeah. So we have our hotels in Lagos. Notice that it's not showing any error sign. So this is a table view. Click on hotels in Lagos. Yeah. Look down here. Number of rows. We have 3,395 rows. So it's not much, but it's a good number. So that is that. So remember the questions that I said we should work on. So thank you once again, and we'll meet in the next class. Bye-bye.